what I did today. I went to a meeting in Malibu. It's WAAT, W-A-A-T. It's Women in Addiction Treatment. And so it's all these women from various different centers and different rehabs, different people who are in modality to help those that are challenged with addiction. And this is a really big moment for so many people that are having challenges with addiction. It is incredible. And so these women come together. We come together once a month, and we're supporting each other. So like Denise Klein, who is the, she's the one that hosts it every month. She's the, she's that beam of sunshine in the addiction community. And she has been so supportive for so many people. Like she was saying, this is the place that you can come to in the field where we're all supporting each other. You know, a lot of different areas of business don't foster, you know, non-compete clauses, as it were. So we all come together and we network, we meet up with each other, and we have a guest speaker. And I wanted to talk for a minute about this guest speaker because she is going to be on this podcast probably in the next few weeks. Her name is Joanna O'Flaherty. I can't pronounce her last name, but it's this woman here. And what an incredible story this woman has. I mean, she is just amazing. And she was telling us, this is her memoir, and she was telling us she's one of the people that goes to where there is a catastrophe, a tragedy, and she's one of the psychologists who is there to support people through the aftermath of these incredible moments. And I just can't even imagine being that person. And she just is phenomenal. And I got to tell you, the applause in the room after she spoke, and everybody was just like, wow. She's talking about for all of us who are in some way, shape, or form in helping people with, like, therapists, you know, all the different teams of people that work in any of the rehabs, you know, all of us, it's a big job. You know, when you're dealing with people's emotions, and during the time that I did work in addiction treatment centers, people come in with a lot. It's a very big deal. I mean, here, people come in with a lot as well. And it's just, you really have to be very present for people as they're working through their trauma. The trauma is a big piece of it. So this woman is just simply amazing, Johanna, and it was really a blessing to meet her. And she's, like I said, she's going to be on this show and sharing a bit of her story. So looking forward to that. And, you know, going to meet and having all these women there, I think it's really awesome to have a team of women who support each other. Like this past Monday night, I had a full moon ceremony at my home, and all these women came, and it was a really great conversation, and it was really nice just being together and supporting each other as we did this letting go kind of ceremony. And so what we did that night was, oh, Nana's in the house. I was just talking about you. Actually, I was talking about you on Monday and explaining a little bit of what you had said on that Zoom session that I was in on. I'm going to talk about it here just a little bit. I'm not going to go into all the details because I would like for you to talk more about that on my show, because Inanna's going to be on this show, I think, in 2 weeks. Very excited to have you join me here. So when I had that full moon ceremony at the house, I want to give you a little brief bit of what I was saying there, because I think we're in a really, like I've been saying for a while now, the moment is getting bigger, and it's getting, you know, like more heightened. So when we're all in the choice point, we're here, and this is the only moment that there is. This is the moment where we own our power. This is the moment where God is, that higher part of us is. So when we're in the moment and we're creating with intention, we're literally moving ourselves into the direction of our greatest dreams. But what I have found with so many people is they'll be in this moment and thinking about all those moments and holding on to. Because when clients come in, there's a big part of it where they're holding on to what they did back here or what somebody else did back here. And when you're holding on to that, especially the part where I did something, so when we're in our guilt, shame, remorse, those kind of feelings, you can't be in your power right here. The attention isn't on your power. The attention is on whatever happened way back here. And I'm just going to say, all these different people come in, and it's amazing. Somebody will have changed their habit of whatever they did 3 years ago. 4 years ago, they changed their habit. Maybe 2 years ago. This happens all the time. And they still hold on to the guilt of what they did, the shame of what they did back here, even though for all these years, they haven't done that habit. And on top of it, they'll have other people in their lives holding on to, well, you did this back here, and that affected me. And so both parties can be holding on to it of what happened back here, not realizing in all of this time, the behavior changed. So when you're in the choice point and you're still holding on to anything, or you're holding on to something that someone else did, you're not winning. You're not winning. Your attention, second button on the controller, your attention is on an old problem. So in this full moon exercise, everybody had their little notebooks. They were actually my kids' old notebooks from school. I've been looking at those things and thinking, geez, I don't want to throw them away, all these little 3-ring binders. So everybody got one of Serena or Melena's binders. Maybe one of mine too. And they wrote down, these are the things that I've been holding on to. These are the things that I think about myself. Or these are the things that I'm still angry with somebody else. These are whatever it was that's taking up that room in your heart. So I want you to think about it, because the moon's still somewhat full, and you can still do it anyway. You don't have to wait for another full moon. The challenge is to look at anything that I'm still holding on to that's not even happening anymore. Something that I did years ago that I've changed my behavior since then. Something could be anything that's holding space in your heart. So when you are looking at it, you're literally understanding it, gaining that wisdom, owning the resilience, and making that commitment to yourself to let it go. It's done. Sometimes what I do with my clients, I'll look at them, they'll come in and they're like, oh, I did this thing. It's like, oh man, well, if you had gone to jail, how long would you have been in jail? And they look at me like I'm crazy. Well, I wouldn't have gone to jail for that. Just saying, if you had gone to jail with it, how long would you have been in jail? And they're like, I don't know. Maybe I would have been in jail for, I don't know, a month, 2 months, whatever. And so I look at them and it's like, well, when you're holding on to it in your heart, you're kind of in jail. You're holding that space in your heart. You're holding that space in your mind. And it doesn't leave you free to be in the choice point. This is the most important place in your life, is right here, right now. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. So if there's something that you've been holding on to, consider how long you would have been in jail. You paid your dues. You've changed your behavior. And now you hit a new choice point. You get a reset, a realignment. So write these things down on paper. Literally write it on paper. And then on another separate piece of paper, you write down, I am. What's the new thing that you're owning? It's, I am whatever the thing is that you've already changed the behavior. I'm choosing calm rather than anger. I'm choosing constructive communication rather than just destructive communication. You're owning what the new thing is. That piece of paper you keep and you put it somewhere where you can see it on a regular basis. This is who I am. So I hit my choice point. I get it. I learned. I grew my wisdom, my resilience, understanding, and now I am. A fun place to put it, if you have one of those medicine cabinets that you open up, put it right there. You see it every morning when you get your medicine cabinet-y stuff. Okay? So take the other piece of paper and burn it. And as it's burning, literally allow your heart to expand and open up and be present with the new I ams. And it's done. It's back to the nothingness that it was. The program is over. We hit Alt, Control, Delete, and that old program is gone. I'm owning a new moment in time, a new version of me. I'm playing the game different. And as it burns, it's going to the nothingness that it ever was. You know, too much of the time we put, unfortunately, these words wrong or bad or whatever the thing is. So people don't want to look at it. Nobody ever wants to be wrong or bad, so they don't want to look at that behavior. But if you be in the choice point and you get, these things were just things that we learned. It's what we did with the consciousness that we had at the time. So as you're burning that paper, you're literally saying, I'm not owning that consciousness anymore. I am this. Or I am that I am. Get it? So write these things down, burn it, put the new piece of paper in the medicine cabinet or on the inside of something or on the outside of your refrigerator or wherever you're going to see it that you feel comfortable to have. I am what these things are. And you can continue to add to that list. So that's what we did Monday night. Oh, and then the moon was glorious, and I have this backyard with all these trees, so the moon came up over the trees. And you can still do this part too if you want to. We howled at the moon, and it was fun. And I'm thinking my neighbors might have thought we were a little crazy, but that's okay. So when you're doing the howling part at the moon, you're taking a deep breath, and as you let that howl out, you're letting go of all that old stuff. Breathing in that greatness that you are. And as you're letting go of that howl, it's literally like you're done. It's over. I'm finished with that. And we howled 3 times, and it's such a good feeling. So I invite you to try these things. It's a lot of fun. And that was Monday night. So then there's another thing that I want to talk about. I have all these things to talk about tonight. I have been meeting some fascinating people. And I mean, getting involved in the coolest things. So I met this woman. Her name is Kara. She's going to be on this podcast too. She is just brilliant, and she does really incredible things, and she is associated with this guy named Jerry Rivera, who created a healing device modality called the Rasha, and this Rasha machine is insane. So Kara has been here at the office, and she's been working on some of our clients using this machine, and they keep coming back for more because it's really good. In fact, Nick got on it yesterday for the first time, and even he, who, you know, he's a pretty energetic guy, he felt some amazing shifts in his body with it. And a friend of mine, Becca, got on it, and she had some amazing experiences with it. So this machine, it is unique. It uses scalar wave energy, like this energy that flows in and as and through us. So it is working with us on a level to not only heal our bodies and re-energize our body, but literally clear out old stuff. And it helps with our consciousness. So this guy, I'm working with it right now. I might end up going to Las Vegas to interview him in this device, because he has one there. It's a Russia, and it's got this dome over it, and it's supposed to be like incredible. So I think I might end up doing that. But a lot of people I've been talking with lately, like this morning, I was with all these women in this meeting, and I don't think very many of them knew at all what these devices are. And that's why I want to bring it up on my podcast tonight, because it's important to get. Doctors don't know about these things, and there are a lot of new healing modality, med bed type of healing devices that are pretty incredible. Like my friend Tatiana has a place over in Thousand Oaks here. She has a full out what's called an EE system, and it's another version of using this scalar wave energy that is incredibly, it's powerful to use that. So it's like our divine energy on a level. I don't know exactly how to describe it in my Audrey language, which is why I want to interview this guy, Jerry, because he describes things in a really unique way, and he has an incredible story. So if you want, hi Peggy Joe and Kimberly Ashburn, nice to have you guys join me. This guy had a death experience, and when he was out of his body, he kind of on a level downloaded a lot of, because this is information. This in the space between us. I mean, if you think about it, electromagnetic energy is carrying these waves so that you guys can see me and I'm talking to you in live time. There's no strings attached. So when this guy had this death experience, when he came back into his body, you can hear his story. If somebody will remind me, I'll post it in the comments. But when he came back into his physical body, he had downloaded all of this amazing information, and he was able to use that information to create this healing device. And I'm not kidding when I say everybody that's been using it has been just experiencing great things with it. So I'm talking about these because there's that device, there's that e-system. There's another thing, it's called a HOCAT, and that's using Rife energy. It's using ozone and infrared technology. There's all these things. There's another one, it's a Tesla healing device. So there's all these things now with modern technology that most of us don't know about. We don't get told what these things are. And so when you're able to use them for healing, it can be extremely powerful. But then there's also, this is where it gets really interesting. There's a lot of people out there that are able to heal remotely using that kind of energy, and it's from one person to another. So as an example, one of my friends had to go into the hospital last Monday, and I was with her and helping her with her pain because it was excruciating. And she was in pain for, I think it was like really heavy duty pain for 2 to 3 days. And I think it was 3 days. It was on the third day. I was with this woman, Tatiana, who has these healing devices, but she herself is a practitioner. She does remote healing. And so I was sitting in her office with her, and I had my client, my friend, on the phone, and she was doing remote work with her and literally helping to energetically release the trauma, release some of the energy around what was causing the pain. And that night, she didn't feel anything in the moment, but that night, later in the evening, she had this miraculous, release of the pain. And she was convinced, because nothing had changed with the doctors, with the meds, with all the stuff that was happening. She was convinced that it was what Tatiana had done for her. And it was really miraculous. So it's important to really get, there is what the doctors do, but there are also all of these different modalities for healing that are viable, that are important, and as time goes on, they're going to be more and more and more. And I think it's important to have an awareness of them because, unfortunately, I have quite a few people at this point where the doctors don't know what to do with them. You know, it's like with this girl that I brought into the hospital, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her for a while. And here she is taking all these different kinds of pain meds and still being in excruciating pain. So she's doing a lot better now, and that's good. And she's in the process of healing. But she gave me permission to tell one of the stories that happened in what we were doing, because I was talking with her a lot and going over there to see her and, you know, just being with her. And by the way, Kimberly, I am on tonight. It's Wednesdays at 6. I know I've been a little Monday night one week and this night, so thanks for being here with me. I see your comment there. And also for everybody that's watching, if you have any questions, ask. I'm very open to a mutual dialogue tonight. So with this person I'm in the hospital with, there's a part of it where I'm doing a bit of energy work with her as well, and I'm doing basically some hypnosis with her and helping her, like especially on that first day, you know, just talking with her, helping her breathe through it and owning, you know, that part of dealing with the pain in a different kind of way. So there's that part of it. And then there's a part of it where you're dealing with the people in the hospital. Unfortunately, at this point, it's not the fault of the nurses, and that it's simply, I think that they just don't have enough people working. So there's an element to it when you're in the hospital of feeling like you're not getting what you need sometimes. So working with the emotions around that and working with everything that comes with that. But I want to say I went there a couple of days ago and she was in a bit of despair. And you have to remember, when you're taking a lot of meds like that, sometimes it's just really hard to think clearly. And it's when you're dealing with a fair amount of pain, that makes it hard to, you know, think clearly. And so the great news is, on a lot of levels, she was just, I mean, really working through this stuff in a powerful way. And on this day that I went there, I went to bring her some stuff. And she was unfortunately worried about things that were going to happen, like what was going to happen to this, or what if I can't get that? What if I can't do this? What if this doesn't happen? And I looked at her and I said, and what if you are taken care of? What if this thing happens where you're able to go home and you're able to be taken care of? That would be the best and highest, right? Well, yeah, but I don't know if that can happen, and this and that. And it's like, look, you have every ability in this moment. Choice point. This is where we own our magic. This is where we're connected. This is where we're very creative. And so I was telling her, you know, focus on divine right actions taking place for you right now, that your needs are met, that somebody's taking care of you on a regular basis, that you're in the best optimal situation for yourself. And she got it. And the other part of it, she said, by the grace of God. And I wrote that down because we were talking today. And she said, yeah, I kept holding that space and praying. And by the grace of God, this girl that used to work with her lost 3 of her clients and was available to be there for her and do what she needed to have done. A miracle happened, and she created it. I really want you to understand, we all have the capability of doing that in any given moment. So here she was, and in that moment of like pure despair. I mean, she was in despair, which would be normal. It would be appropriate. And when we were able to look, your attention is very important. Your intention, what is it that you want? Focus on what you want. You're having somebody take care of you. This is the best and highest choice. So you own that until you know otherwise. And then out of nowhere, her friend said, hey, this girl, she's available. And now she's back at home and she has somebody coming on a regular basis to make her needs met. It works like that. But we have to let go of the stuff that's taking up that space in the heart and have everything open to my solutions are happening. You know, we've been trained in society. We have been trained to focus on the problem. We've been trained, unfortunately, to live in that, oh, when's the next shoe going to drop kind of thing? Or I don't know how to make that happen. Or, you know, it's always been like this, so this is what it's going to be. We've been trained to do that. I mean, if we look at it generationally, a lot of our parents, I know my parents, my mother was a lot of the time focused on the problems, and she didn't know otherwise. Her parents came here from Germany. You know, they immigrated, and, you know, they came from what catastrophe they came from. So when we're in the moment now and we have this kind of information and we have all the, wide range of different people that share information like I do, it's an important moment to retrain our brains to focus on what we can do, what we are able to create as those miracles for ourselves. But again, you got to let go of the other stuff and really be open in your heart. This is the most creative part of us. And when it's filled with that stuff, you're going to get more of it. There was another thing that came up this week. 2 more things. This person that I'm talking about that's in the hospital, she said to me at one point, she said, well, hopefully, and I said to her, excuse me, hopefully isn't as creative as this is going to happen until I know otherwise. So if we find ourselves using a word like, well, hopefully, or anything along those lines, you're not owning it. There's like, if the universe wants to shine on me a little bit and make this happen. No, the universe flows through you. I am. That takes away any hopefully and puts it in, I have faith. I have the faith that this intention is flying until I know otherwise. I have the faith that I'm keeping my attention on this thing, it's happening. So it's super important to really be clear on those things that are coming out of our mouth, those words. They're wildly important. Like I know you know, I have said this many times, but people still do it. They use that word, that little tiny, very important word. Who knows what it is on here? That one that I have an issue with sometimes. I know somebody's on here that knows exactly what the word is I'm going to talk about. I'm going to give you a second to throw that word in the comments. What's the word? My clients use this word. I'm like, what? Did you just say something? They'll look at me like I'm crazy. And then they're like, oh, I said that word. I don't know if that person's still on here anymore. Anyway, the word is try. Don't try. Just do it or don't do it. When we say, I'm going to try, it's like, same thing. You're not owning it. And it's like, oh, I tried. It didn't happen. I guess it wasn't meant to be. It's not being in your power to try. Sometimes I do try. You know, certain things we try, but most of the time it's a do or don't. So if you don't want to, don't do it. But if it's something that you're intending, do it and get the try word out of the vocabulary. Hopefully. Somebody said something on Monday night as well. Maybe if, you know, things like that. You really want to, as you're owning your word, you want to really be in that moment of I am. Everything that follows I am is creative and it's wildly important. Now I'm going to get to the other thing, and I have permission. I was just working with a client, and I'm going to say this person I have been wildly impressed with. He has been doing the work and really owning his power on so many levels. But like all of us, there's these great moments, and then there's these moments we go back down again. It's like, had something else to learn. Better get back up on the timeline and figure it out. And then we have another moment where we go down. So, you know that I make a lot of things like a game analogy. This particular situation, this person, it's like they have a tendency, and I laughingly say, it's like he's the kid in the back seat and the person that he's in the moment with is in the back seat. So you got like the Bickersons in the back seat. So this other person will be in the back seat and he's trying to drive and not pay attention to them being in the back seat, and they just suck him in and they turn into the Bickersons in the back seat. And it's like, I keep saying, look, you got to be the adult in the front seat. And when they're trying to dangle that hook and get you angry and get you playing the game because that's how they think they're winning, because they've got their agenda and things that they do. Everybody's got their games that they play. Everybody has their things that they do. So when you're in your own game and you're being the adult in the front seat, there's a part of it where you want to learn what the other person's doing, how they turn into the kid in the back seat, and what it is that they're doing to get your attention, get you caught in the drama, get you caught in the old game. You know, a lot of times couples do this, siblings do this, you know, various people get into, all these texts. I forget to turn off the notifications when I go in here. So in this particular situation, this guy has been learning and really being good about staying out of the game. So the hook will get dangled and he's like, nope, not going to go there, not going to go there. And then just recently they went there. And when I said to them, it's like, oh man, you know what? Because the longer you stay out of somebody else's game, the longer that you stay calm, the longer that you stay grounded and centered and in constructive communication, you're winning. But the minute you jump into the back seat, you're not winning anymore. So this guy has been winning and winning. And one of the ways that you're winning when you do that, for the person who's in the other side, their winning, they think, is to drag you into the game with them. And in this particular situation, when this guy gets dragged into the game, she doesn't see her stuff. She doesn't get that part of what it is that she's doing. So as long as you're staying outside of the game, you're being a mirror for the other person when they're doing their stuff. You stay You stay unattached to the drama. And they get to the point where it's like they no longer have a finger to point because you have jumped into the game with them, and they have to start looking at their own behavior because they can't blame everything on the other person anymore, right? So in this situation, sometimes, and we were kind of giggling about it because sometimes you just have to have that levity and it's all okay. So I told them, I said, it's like if you're playing Candyland, you have gone up the board and you're up the board and you're really doing well and you're just about to win. She's just about to get that mirror on her full effect and maybe see things that would be good for her. And rather than that, you bit the hook and you hit the ladder and you went all the way down to a few levels before. And it's nothing bad. It's nothing wrong. It's just having an understanding of it, a realization of it. And when we make it into a game format or a game analogy like that, you can see it. And so again, now as he's moving forward, the more he stays grounded and centered and focused, and when the other person's doing this stuff, you don't get engaged in that anger, get engaged in that drama, whatever the thing would look like, then all of a sudden you're picking those cards where you're skipping ahead pretty quickly. And that's how life looks. You know, the more that we attach to other people's stuff and make it about us, you're not winning. Most of the time, It's not about you. Most of the time, people who have whatever that they're getting angry with you for, a lot of the time it's about themselves. So we be kind, we be understanding. I see what you're upset about. I get it. Not my intention. I'm learning from that. I won't do it again. The more that you do hear the other person and you adjust your behavior to something that both parties can line up with, you're winning. So I just thought it was really funny that this whole Candyland thing came in my mind, because it was a good laugh to begin with, but it was obvious where you can see that. And now he will really go up and probably live here for a fair amount of time and not go quite so far down into somebody else's game. Is this all making sense? I see that you guys have some comments. Kimberly. Hello, Jennifer. Nice to have you on here. Good to see you. So those are the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. You know, it's an interesting moment in time, and there are a lot of things that are happening. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. You know, when we're looking at our lives, I show my clients this. It's like we really want to be here. We want to be in our logic. We want to be in reasoning. We want to make conscious, intentional choices. And in order to do that, we have to be informed in a way that is accurate. And so what I'm about to say might be a little controversial, and it's okay. But I want you to really understand something. In this moment, there has been a lot that has been put out there to make it divisive, so that we are fighting amongst ourselves, so that people are, unfortunately, you know, angry with each other and not able to have the kind of constructive communications that we need to have. So I just want to say, in all of us communicating, it's super important that we are open to a dialogue between ourselves. And if there is something, this is wildly important because it's something that I see a lot. There's certain subjects you just can't talk about because people will get angry. People will get very angry, and they just can't go there in the conversation. So if you find yourself getting very angry and you can't hear somebody else's point of view, it's a possibility that your consciousness is captured, that in some way, shape, or form, your thought process around whatever the thing is that makes you so angry that you can't have a conversation, that has been manipulated. I want to be a little bit more clear about this. There's all these people in this United States, and you have a lot of them that are for this, and you have a lot of them are for the opposite. And there can't be where everybody is wrong. So when we open to a expansive dialogue and we're able to hear just another person's point of view without getting wildly angry, and I can't even hear you, I can't even go there. When you're able to hear another person's point of view, you're winning. Doesn't mean that you need to accept and embrace their point of view, but you can at least hear it without going into a rage. Because if you hear something that strikes you like that and you go into a rage, you're not thinking clearly. When we go into a rage, we go down into here, and we're easily manipulated. So why is this so important is because there's a few topics in this moment that are wildly important. And as a community of all of us, not only here in the United States, but across the globe, as a community, we need to come together on the page where divine right action is taking place for all of humanity. And if we can't hear each other without getting enraged, then we stay divided, and all of humanity isn't gaining that collective movement into a direction where we can all go. When we fight amongst ourselves, we're not winning. We're the kids in the back seat. We're not the adult that's driving the car. So I recently lost a very dear friend, a very, very dear friend, because I said something just from all this news that I watch, and they did not like it. They could not have a dialogue with me, and they literally let me go. And I'm okay with that. I'm sad. And it really was like, wow, I was surprised. But it kind of is what it is. And I'm not going to jump into the back seat about it. It's okay. And in reality, the truth always comes out. The truth will absolutely come out about all the things that are going on right now. So when I'm saying all of this, the reason why I'm saying it is because it's important to get, if we get triggered by something and we have our strong belief on what that is, and we can't hear another person's perception or hear other people's information. Like, I hear all kinds of information all over the place. You know that about me. I go everywhere and I look at all kinds of stuff. I don't buy it all. I look at some of it and it's like, I'm not accepting that. I see it. I'm not going to get angry about it. I get it. That's a possibility. All these things. I don't get angry about it. I just look at it and I'll either, that could be a great possibility for all of humanity, or no, not going there. But it's important, if you're looking at something and it makes you cray-cray, then maybe you want to back up a little bit and be open to just hearing what that thing looks like. So I'm really excited about something. I think I told you guys last week that I met this guy. I haven't actually physically met him in person, but I spoke with him for a little bit on FaceTime. So when I say that there are great things happening, I think I'm going to be meeting with him soon, I'm hoping, and I'm going to learn more about what he's doing. And I would love to have him on this podcast because he has created this amazing technology that it looks like could be that timeline that I have been holding in my choice points, praying for the best and highest happening for all of humanity. So, highly recommend, when you're angry about stuff, you're not in that mode of really holding a space for yourself, for the people around you, for the greater good of all humanity. So the invitation this week is to literally kind of step out of the box a little bit and look at, what are the things that I don't want to discuss? Nothing big, nothing wrong with it. Why don't I want to discuss it? You ask yourself those critical thinking questions. Why, when, where, what, how? Is this true? These are all critical thinking questions that you ask yourself, because any time that you are in those feelings, especially when you're in rage or serious anger, and you can't hear somebody else's point of view, that's a major time to get into your critical thinking and look at, why is this? It's not working for you. You're in the back seat. Anytime we have those kind of feelings going on, we're in the back seat. And I'm telling you, it's speeding up, and there's a lot of really great things happening. I'm seeing a lot of it, to be clear. But there's also these challenging things. So see the challenging things, understand the challenging things. Like when I'm looking at all the challenging things in the news, I'm aware, I get it. That's just what has happened or what could possibly happen. But I'm not going to hold that could possibly happen as true. I hold out for miracles, like my client that created her miracle, my friend. She absolutely created that miracle. She held that space. And I have a whole bunch of other people who are doing that on a regular basis. But you have to be intentional. You have to keep your attention on that thing that is your intention. And importantly, you've got to look at things with the correct perception. Look at the truth. Look at all the different points of view, all the different perceptions, and find the one that resonates with what you can land on to be true. And usually it's attached to good feelings. Usually it's attached to something that's the best and highest for humanity. And it's just an invitation. So you have some possible homework to do. So I'm looking at the time is getting a little short here. Any final questions? Anybody have anything that they want to say? And Nana is going to be in the house soon. There's a part of it, what she was saying, and this is important. I said that I would say that's at the beginning of the show. And Nana is amazing on so many levels. And when she was doing her Zoom session earlier this week, there's a part of it where she was saying that we have to keep our feelings at a certain level, like love and over. So if we go down into worry and distress, into those kind of anger, guilt, shame, those kind of feelings, the heart isn't basically, it's not where we're vibrating in the highest, oscillating in the highest. Look who just came in the room. Look who it is. Nicholas in the house. Everybody say hi, Nick.
Hi, everybody.
Obviously, he was coaching today. His team, girls softball at Westlake. When are you going to be back on with Mainstream Metaphysics?
A week from April 2nd. I'm back next week.
April. So he's back next Tuesday. Do you have a guest coming on, or is?
No, it's going to be a lot of things I want to talk about and get people up to speed on. And by the way, since that's April 2nd, remember everyone, this coming Monday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, is Mercury retrograde. How auspicious having Mercury retrograde on April Fool's Day.
And that's the day I have an appointment with my doctor, Dr. Nancy Sachs.
Don't let Mercury fool with you.
What should they do?
Ground. Mercury is retrograde in Aries. It can create very aggressive conversations and arguments, people changing their mind. Lay low. If somebody is speaking to you in an aggressive tone, diffuse it, because it can create very animated kinds of conversations.
Keep being the adult in the front seat. Don't jump into that back seat.
Unless it's with someone fun.
I'm fun. But we have fun in the front seat.
Right.
You know what? The kid in the back seat is also about spontaneity. They are the fun. They're the innocence. The kid in the back seat actually is a lot of fun. And it's also the one that will show you all the good stuff. Yeah.
I can't even touch those lines because it's going to go sideways real fast.
Didn't do that the whole time you were here. I mean, weren't here.
I'm such an inspiration. Or such a perspiration.
Kimberly said hi.
Hi, everyone.
The other thing you can do, we have Mercury retrograde candles that help to diffuse that thing. So if you need a candle, either come in here or order one through us. We'll send it to you in the mail.
And here's the funny thing, that Audrey and I are born in Mercury retrograde. And so we're already feeling the shadow period of Mercury retrograde, the pre-shadow for a couple weeks, and phones aren't working right and computers are rebooting and all this kind of stuff. It's typical Mercury retrograde. And you've seen on our Facebook page that last weekend, Audrey and I bought 2 cars together, and this is the second time in our lives together that we've bought 2 cars on the same day. Now, here's a little Mercury retrograde twist. I have Sirius XM in my car. She does not. And so I get an email from Sirius that they transferred from my old car to her new car. So I was on the phone with them for 15 minutes today, re-explaining that they put it on the wrong car.
But we got through the whole process okay, and we have fabulous new cars. And if you're in the area, Infinity in Thousand Oaks, and you got to ask for Dennis.
The fleet manager.
We have bought like 11 cars from him.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful experience.
It really makes, nobody likes actually process of buying a car. We like the new car. You like the process?
Yeah, it's fun.
Really?
Yeah.
It's all those numbers. He's the numbers guy. I'm not so much. I don't have any 8s in my name. That would have in right. Your numerology.
Yeah, she has no 8s, so she doesn't relate to numbers.
I don't relate to numbers, but I relate to a lot of other things. And I'm cute, yeah.
And very creative.
I'm very creative. So with that being said, check Nick out next Tuesday on Mainstream Metaphysics. I'll be back on Wednesday. Pretty sure I'm going to have a guest. And I might actually, because I have a whole bunch of people lined up for guests, I might actually start having it 2 times a week. I have a whole bunch of people.
A lot of fun stuff coming at. Have you told them that in June Alexandra's coming?
Alexandra is coming. She's going to have Golden Arrow channeling with Merlin again. That's in June.
Gary Stewart's coming. I
said Gary Stewart's coming. And we have a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to be putting it on the calendar tomorrow. I've been so busy.
Focus on success deeper into the spring.
And we're putting focus on success deeper into the spring because Nick is creating a book for it.
Yes, I am.
It's very exciting.
It's my next book.
All right, so I'm going to say good night. I love you all very much. Thank you very much for all your support. And by the way, thank all of you for sharing the events that we've got coming up. I greatly appreciate it, seriously. And if you want to share this video, you're free to share this as well. Thank you ahead of time very much. I love you all, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good one. Good night. Love you too, Jen.